Skin correction on older folks can be far more difficult than someone who doesn't have a lot of texture to their face yet. So we're going to zoom in with Control plus or Command plus, and I'll use my spacebar to scoot over and start here. I'll go to my all-favorite patch tool underneath the spot healing brush tool and just begin going too far, selecting the crow's feet, dragging to solid skin to blend them away. And you could clearly see it's blurring and starting to look really worked on. But that's okay. We're going to use history to bring back some of the original shot. Not everyone needs to look 20 in every photo, but we want them to look the best that they can for their age, or slightly better. I'll take these forehead wrinkles and I'm just making a selection, letting go, and dragging to good skin. I only make my selection area as big as the area I have to repair it with. It even works wonderfully on these stray hairs on the forehead. It'll just blend them away. A lot of these repairs used to be done with the cloning stamp tool, which in my opinion is a lot more work. So if you haven't experimented with the patch tool and you want to do beauty retouching, take some time and test this tool out on your own images. So you could see how we've repaired one eye, and I'm even getting rid of some darkness in certain areas. I'll keep going with the other eye. And I feel like I need to talk during this, but hopefully you're working along with me and trying this on the image. So a little bit of gin blossoms here on the cheek we can remove. And around the mouth, this is very common. You get kind of frown lines as you age. If only we could walk around with Photoshop on our face all the time. There we go. I'm getting pretty close and getting pretty happy with the work, although zooming out, you'll notice it looks very artificial. We are going to fix it all, so it's okay to go too far once you understand history and can bring back original detail in subtle amounts. So it still looks like the person as you would see them, but it won't emphasize all of the stuff that the camera catches that most people don't see when they're looking at you directly anyway. The camera is so much less forgiving, in my opinion, than human eye. All right, so there we've got a nearly flawless face. I've been using spacebar to move my screen around. Patch also works great on shininess, like a shine on the nose or the forehead or even sometimes on glasses. So she looks too worked on. But what we're going to do is go to the history brush tool. It's two below your regular paintbrush tool. And on the history brush, I'm going to make the brush size bigger using my right bracket key, about as big as the under eye area that I repaired. I'll hit the number 2 for 20% opacity, and the first click and drag brings back 20% of the original detail of those crow's feet or the wrinkles that she's earned with age. Click and drag, bring back 40%. Click and drag, 60. For women, I usually bring back 40 or 60, depending on the woman and how much she'd like it to be repaired, if you know. For men, they tend to look more rugged as they age, so you might bring back 80 or even overemphasize some of their wrinkles to make them look more distinguished. If you know the person and you're doing the work and have the chance to talk to them, find out what they want. So here I did 20-40 by clicking and dragging twice, 20 and 40 by clicking and dragging twice. So the way I check myself is through the History panel. In History, I click the before and the after. Before, after. I could use a little bit more repair down here. Before, after. far better, but you can still see some of the natural detail. The gin blossoms I won't bother to bring back. And on the nose, maybe just a slight bit, but I'm much happier with this overall. It's her, only slightly better, and not too retouched looking. Now, this is a tricky double chin. Because it has gotten a little lower with age, sometimes the trick of filter liquefy won't work as well as a chin that was caused just by shadow or lighting. You could try filter liquefy, and I'll dial the brush size down to about the size of the chin. Sometimes, because it moves so fast, I just have to type in a number and press Tab, being very careful not to hit Return or Enter. I'm on the Forward Warp tool, so I can pull up to remove some of that chin. And actually make her cheek a little bit smaller, slimming the face overall. This takes practice. Unfortunately, there's no magic words I've ever been able to find for my students where they say, "Oh, this works for me every time." It simply takes practice. All right, so that looks odd, but I have lifted the chin, and with any luck, I can paint back using History her original chin line. Now, I did some cleanup work on the chin, so I'm going to click on History Brush, the step I did just before liquefy. Take a snapshot of it so I have repaired skin, and then click back on liquefy. Now, on the History Brush, I will hit 0 on my keyboard or slide up to 100% opacity. And I'm going to make my brush a little smaller, but I'm painting back, attempting to find her original chin line without bringing back the chin below. And a little crease there is okay. Again, you want it to look like it would if you were looking at her directly. Got it. Now, I could do other little repairs like jump to the patch tool, and I said jump to the patch tool because the shortcut is J to jump to the patch. That's the way I remember the keyboard shortcut. I'll take a little bit of this dark shadowing and try to find an area of solid skin to use to repair it. Sometimes below will work, but she's got a mole there, so if the mole gets duplicated, I'll patch that with another area. So you could patch several times, and if it starts to look too worked on, I hit Y for History, 2 for 20% opacity, and paint back just a little of the original texture. There would be some natural creases there. And if I fit in window, there she's got a more subtle chin line. I can click the original at the top in History to see before. Click the last thing I did to see after. Before, after. Now, given more time, you can do a far better job, but I think overall she'll be happier with this shot. And I might need to use History to bring back a little detail here and there, just so it looks natural, but I always check myself with before and after. Much happier there, a little bit of detail at 20%, and I'm going to let it go. For practice on your own, you could try this on my face over on the right, removing some of the wrinkles and creases, but bringing them back a bit. Patch works beautifully on neck wrinkles, forehead wrinkles, crow's feet, dark circles under the eyes. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on repairing with bringing back the natural look of the person, although not 100% of what the camera saw, making the shot better, but still natural.